So a bunch of videos have been coming up on my For You page lately on YouTube, and they're all about this 30-day decluttering challenge. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not a minimalist and I don't want to become one. I love my stuff and just stuff in general. However, being realistic, I get the sense that in the next 6 months or so, I'm going to have to downsize a little bit given the current economic circumstances. I was thinking that this might be a good challenge for me to do just in order to get rid of the excess stuff, the stuff I'm not using, the stuff I don't need that I have in the house, and to really streamline my home environment. So in terms of what the 30-day decluttering challenge is, it's essentially exactly what it sounds like. You declutter your house for 30 days. Now on day 1 of the challenge, you declutter 1 item. On day 2 of the challenge, you declutter 2 items. On day 3, 3 items, and so on and so forth until you get to the end of the month. And you do it essentially for a month. So if the month is 30 days, it's a 30-day decluttering challenge, and if the month is 31, then it's a 31-day decluttering challenge. Now, I did this in September, so it was 30 days for me, and in the end, I wound up decluttering, I believe it's 465 items, which is a lot. That's a daunting amount of stuff to find. Now, the parameters for the challenge, I adopted quite loose ones. So the items could be anything from a broken coat hanger or a hair tie that no longer had any elasticity in it. Anything that I had in the house that I no longer used or was no longer functional or wasn't serving a purpose, or as Marie Kondo and everybody else is saying at the moment, wasn't bringing joy. So let's just get right into it. On day 1, I decluttered 1 string of grey pearls. Now they're pretty, but I have never worn them. I don't tend to wear much jewelry at all, other than my nose ring. Now this area here in my house is one of my least favorite areas. It's covered in predominantly hair products. So I have all of these hair care products, not because I really enjoy doing my hair or because I'm super high maintenance. I'm not. I'm super wash and wear. I have them because when I go to the hairdressers try and flog this stuff off to me, and I have a hard time saying no. So in order to avoid any kind of conflict and so that they don't stuff up my hair because they're mad, I just say yes and buy the ridiculously overpriced products, and I wind up with this full shelf of stuff I don't want and don't need. So this little shelf bothers me, and I want to cull this as much as possible over the next year. So I've gone through this little shelf, and my moisturizer is nearly finished, so I can turf that, and the dry shampoo is nearly finished. So I've put them to the side, and I want to use those up over the next week or 2 and then throw them out and start reducing this shelf. Now on the 3rd day, I just scrabbled through my handbag and found a couple of bits and pieces that were in there that I didn't need. There's a broken pen, a little llama with a bow tie keychain that's gotten a little bit dirty. It's obviously come off of something and it's just running around loose in the bag now, and that can go. Now on day 4, I went through Harry's stuff, not because I'm mean and don't love her, I do, but Harry is the type of cat where if you buy her a $100 toy, she'll play with the box. So I've brought her clothes. She's not cold in winter. She does not want to wear these, and she will wriggle out of them, and in less than a minute she's out and they're left behind on the ground. She's wandered off. So I'll get rid of clothes, and I'll get rid of the toys she doesn't play with. She has no interest in these. I've seen Jackson Galaxy with those like feather on a stick on a string that he wiggles around. She doesn't want to play with that, so I got her this one, and she just ignores it. She just watches me wander around the house like a fool, and she doesn't move. So I'll get rid of these 4 items, and yeah, just leave her to play with bits of string and boxes and toilet rolls as she sees fit. Now going back to the dreaded little shelf in the bathroom, I've gone through all of the bottles and found little testers and samples of body washes and skincare products that are nearly used up or used up, and I want to again burn through these in the next week or so and then turf the bottles and the containers. So for day 6, I decluttered a half a dozen electronic cords. A mate of mine came over and went through all of the cords that I've managed to accumulate over the years with me and helped me figure out which ones I could jettison and which ones I should keep. Now on day 7, what I did, and I still count this entirely as part of the challenge, is I've gathered up books that other people have lent me, and I'm going to return these, whether I've read them or not. I've had these for a little while, and so I'm going to give these back to their respective owners and get them out of the house. Okay, so it's day 8 and I'm still going strong. I'm not struggling yet, although I do start to struggle at a certain point through the challenge. But day 8, I'm still collecting little bits and pieces, not going through any room in any kind of systematic fashion. Don't expect me to be systematic at all. I'm very sort of all over the shop all the time. But what I found was 3 notebooks, a skirt that I didn't want anymore, 1 brown belt that I'm going to get rid of that I don't use anymore, a broken coat hanger, some bubble wrap, and a dressing gown that's cute but it's ripped. So I'm going to turf that. Don't tend to be much of a dressing gown girl at the best of times anyway, so while it's cute, it can go. Now it's day 9. I've got to declutter 9 items. So I've scrambled around the house again and I found a bunch of disparate items again. So I found some cross-stitch patterns that I'm going to get rid of. I've counted each of the patterns individually. There's 3 of those. I found 4 pairs of shoes that I don't really wear and don't want anymore. I found a diffuser that I got from Kmart that I never use, and another broken coat hanger. So by this stage I'm 9 days deep and I've already decluttered 45 items, which is not a bad effort for a couple days. Now on day 10, I went through my sock drawer and got rid of a bunch of socks. So some of these are old and worn, and some of them are pretty new, but they're absolutely terrible quality. So they're very, very sheer and they feel awful on. So I'm going to get rid of all of these because none of them are great items to have anymore in my life. Now with the addition of these 10 socks, I've decluttered 55 items from the house. So now on day 11, I'm going back to the cross-stitch patterns, and there are enough of these to actually cover day 11, 12, 13, and 14. So one of the things I found when I was doing this challenge is that I had big numbers of particular items, like these cross-stitch patterns or later on DVDs, or DVD cases specifically, and they made up more than one day. So you divide them up amongst the days that you have, and you've got a little bit left over, and you add those to a different day. This challenge can be a little bit like a game of Tetris where you're trying to make the number of things you've got fit specifically because you've got a certain number of items you have to get rid of each day. That being said, it's totally doable. Like I said, you just divide the items up across a number of days and that's how you get rid of everything in that particular pile of stuff. So by the end of decluttering these cross-stitch patterns, which again was day 11, 12, 13 and 14, I have now decluttered 105 unwanted items from the house and I'm feeling totally fine. I haven't had to get rid of anything that I wanted to keep and I haven't been struggling to find items yet. So now it's day 15 and I have to declutter 15 items. Now I've gone through the rooms of the house and tried to pick 1 or 2 items from each room. So from the bathroom, I've picked up 3 hair ties and some fake nails, stick-on fake nails that don't work terribly well. I've got teeny tiny little hands and so fake nails never really work on me terribly well. I've got 1 rusted padlock and 3 paint swatches from the lounge room and they were just sitting around. I have a lot of rosemary growing in the garden and I cut that a couple of months ago and put that in a bunch of bottles and baskets around the house. And it has dried out and it's not giving off much scent anymore, so I've collected the 5 bottles and the 1 basket and I'm going to turf all of the rosemary, so that's 6 more objects. And I brought this little scented item that's supposed to make a room smell like cinnamon and it's basically used up, so I'm going to get rid of that as well. That was in the library. Now day 16 was when I started to get a little bit more focused and made the executive decision that I was going to go through my wardrobe and cull any clothes that had holes in them or things that I didn't wear anymore. Now I was putting my clothes into piles. 1 pile was to sell, 1 pile was to keep, but it was to be relegated to like an old clothes drawer. And I would use these clothes to do gardening or cleaning. I don't want to be gardening or cleaning in my good clothes. So I'm making a separate pile for old clothes that I can still keep, that probably nobody wants anyway, but I can use them to do chores around the house in and not destroy any of my nice clothes. So going through my wardrobe took up 3 days of the challenge. I managed to find 16 items on day 16 to declutter, 17 items on day 17, and 18 items on day 18. My wardrobe now is slightly more streamlined, although it probably does still need some work because I've got a bunch of clothes in there that I never wear or don't quite know how to style. So I'll probably work on that a little bit more in the future. By the end of day 18, I've now decluttered 171 items from the house, which is quite a lot when you think about it. And the challenge is starting to get a little bit harder. On day 19 of the challenge, I have to find 19 items to declutter. So again, I just sort of did a sweep of the house and found a couple of different items in a couple of different rooms to declutter. So on this day, it was 1 tea kettle that I don't use. I decluttered 3 books, 4 candles that don't get any use at all, 1 knife case that I don't use. So I found 4 different phone cases lying around the house for old phones that I don't have anymore. So I'm going to donate those. And 1 handbag that I don't use and haven't used for at least a year. I have a record collection, and I also found 2 duplicate records in that collection, so I'm going to donate the duplicates. I found 2 crumpled up pieces of Christmas wrapping paper, and I'm not going to reuse those, and I don't know why I was keeping them, so I'm going to get rid of those. And also 1 microphone that doesn't work particularly well. Now it's day 20 already, and I have to find 20 different items in the house to declutter. So I ran through the rooms again, as I tend to do, and I found 2 tea towels that were old that I don't want anymore, 4 kitchen implements that I never use, a pink laptop table that again I never use. It's really cute. I love the color, but I have never in my life used this. I found an old cat toy that Harry is completely disinterested in. I found 1 black and white wig that I brought for Halloween one year, and I only wore it once for that Halloween, and that's it. I found 4 DVDs that I don't want.
Harry!
And 7 different books that were all duplicates or different editions of the same book. I clearly tend to have specific interests because I keep buying the same book just in different editions or different versions. In going through my books and looking at what I had, I really don't need several copies of the same thing, so I'm going to only keep 1 and get rid of the duplicates. Now on day 20, by the time I've decluttered 20 items, adding this to the other group of stuff, I have now officially hit the 200s, and I have decluttered 210 items from the house, either by putting them aside to donate, putting them aside to sell, or throwing them away because they're rubbish. Now on day 21, I focused on my DVD collection, and yes, I still collect DVDs from op shops. They're $1 or $2, and op shops usually have really random, really fun stuff. So while I really enjoy having these DVDs, they take up a lot of space when they're in their case. So I've gotten these CD or DVD sleeve folders, and I'm going to put all of the DVDs in that and then get rid of all of the cases so that they take up a lot less space. So that fully took up day 21, just getting rid of 21 DVD cases. Now on day 22, I did a more thorough job going through the bathroom, and I eventually found 22 items to declutter. So I found an eyeshadow palette that I never use, 8 lipsticks that are God knows how old, that have been shoved in a cabinet and are never worn. I found a lid to something, a soap holder, a toothbrush holder, a shower rack that's old, a bunch of hair bands that I never use, a hemp hand cream, and then outside of the bathroom I found a candle, a bucket, a frame, a mop wringer for some sort of mop bucket that I don't have anymore, another frame, and 2 vacuum attachments to a vacuum that I don't own anymore either. So I'm going to get rid of all of these objects. That makes up 22, and I am now at 253 items decluttered from the house. Now it's day 23 and things are officially getting pretty tough. I'm struggling to find stuff. So I went back into the library, and I absolutely did not expect to be getting rid of my books. I am very much a word nerd or a book nerd, and I'm very attached to my book collection. It's not a great book collection. They're mostly from op shops, but they're still my books and I'm very attached to them. Nevertheless, going through them, I managed to find 23 books that I'm really not terribly attached to anymore and that I can cull down without really feeling like I'm losing a lot. Now it's day 24. I have to find 24 items from around the house to get rid of. And it's officially getting tough, and I'm officially starting to struggle to find items. Nevertheless, I did find 24 items, and they were a laptop pen for a laptop I don't have anymore, some glasses cleaner, another pen that I don't use or that has run out, some decorative serviettes, but I'm not really a dinner hostess, so I don't need these. A distress alarm, like a little keychain distress alarm that I never use, an old necklace, a cord that I don't even know what it is or what it goes with, a phone box, 2 old laptops, a flower canister, a fan, 3 candle holders, an old set of headphones, 1 party platter, 2 racks from the kitchen, and 4 white plates. So I'm starting to go through the kitchen, and I do know that the kitchen is going to have a lot of extra stuff that I don't use, but I am saving that for the bigger days along with under the house. So I've got 2 areas I know that I can pull a lot of stuff from, but I don't want to use them up too early. Now, day 25 was easy because on day 21 I decluttered some DVD cases, and I knew after counting out 21 of them that I had 25 left. So I just allocated those DVD cases to day 25, and I'm getting rid of 25 extra DVDs, storing those DVDs in a folder so that they take up a lot less space, and I'm done for day 25. And by this stage, after doing this for 25 days, I've decluttered 325 objects, which is a lot. So on day 26 I broke and headed down under the house. Now I knew there would be stacks of stuff under here that I would want to get rid of. It's where clutter tends to accumulate. So going through and just looking at the items I have, I grabbed 2 pictures, a mirror, an old shower rack, 8 paper bowls that I had down there, a dust mask, 2 used clothes horses that just don't fit in the outside bin, so it's hard to throw them away, a glass coffee table decoration that I never use. I'm pretty sure it was a gift and I've never had a use for this, a piece of garden rubbish that's broken, another mirror, a set of drawers, a zip bag, a pack of band-aids, a roll of tape, some gold cellophane, an old piece of paper, an old hedge trimmer, and a garden stand that's broken. And I'm now at 351 items decluttered. Now on day 27 I stayed under the house because there's still some work to be done down here, and I managed to find 27 items to declutter. So for day 27 it was some old paintbrushes, several plastic bags that have accumulated down here, 3 old dust masks, a pack of whippersnipper blades, just the pack, not the actual blades, and 11 pieces of art or photo frames or something like that. Now on day 28 I focused on the kitchen, which was another big area of stuff that needed to be decluttered. So I managed to find 18 pieces of kitchen Tupperware, and then 2 more pieces of Tupperware in a different place in the kitchen, some lids, and 3 jars. On day 29 I need to find 29 items, and I managed to find like a plate set, but it's an extra plate set that I don't use. It's not my primary plate set. So all up it was 7 plates, like 7 little plates, 7 large plates, 8 dipping bowls, and 1 mug. And that made up my 29 items. And as of day 29, I decluttered 435 items from the house. It's now day 30. I need to find 30 items, and I'm focusing on the kitchen to try to get rid of all of the clutter that's in there. And I've managed to find 30 items. So I found 7 plates, 7 bowls, 9 mugs, 6 large plates, and 1 lid to a travel mug that I'm pretty sure I broke ages ago. And I have now officially decluttered 465 items from the house. Now, while that's really impressive and really cool, there's a couple of things that they don't tend to mention in these decluttering videos, and that is all of the stuff you want to sell, you still have to deal with. So that is not leaving your house until you take photos of it, advertise it, manage to find somebody that wants to buy it, and then sell it to them. So that stuff is going to stay in a pile in your house for a little bit until you get rid of that. Now, another issue we're having here in Australia is that our charities are actually getting a little bit crazy. So there are videos all over TikTok of Australians going into charity stores and taking footage of the prices the charity stores are now charging people for the items that they get for free. And the prices are ridiculous. So I don't really want to donate a lot of the stuff that I have in my donate pile to these charities. I did at the start of the challenge, and I got rid of a bunch of stuff just so that it wouldn't pile up in the house and be overwhelming. So what I've done is I believe I've sourced an organization that donates directly to women's shelters so that the items actually get to the women in need, people escaping domestic violence situations, something like that, and it gets to them for free. So they're not price gouged in order to try to set up a safe space for themselves and escape something terrible. And also when you're doing these challenges, I at least was very mindful that I didn't want to just be throwing a bunch of stuff into landfill. Given the current environmental crisis that's happening, I don't just want to be adding to that by getting rid of stuff that isn't broken and that is still usable, maybe not trendy or aesthetically pleasing anymore, but it's still usable. But I don't want to be chucking that stuff in landfill just because it's not cute. So I was very mindful of what it was that I threw away, and I tried as hard as I could to donate everything that was still usable so that I wasn't part of the problem. I will say that in the middle of the challenge, I kind of did get into a headspace where it was like, I just need to find things to throw away. Even if I do still like the thing, I just need to find objects to get rid of. So don't feel pressured to do this challenge for the whole 30 days. If you only manage to do 23 days and you're out of stuff, then stop there. Don't push yourself and do things you'll regret. But in the end, I've decluttered a bunch of stuff that I don't want and don't need. And I'm pretty sure there is actually more stuff in the house. And if I deep clean the house, I will actually find additional items that just don't get used, that I don't want, that I don't even know I have. And I need to go through drawers and cupboards and stuff and find things that I have just squirreled away as a little pack rat that I'm not even aware of anymore. But I do feel pretty good about this. I would do it again, although not straight away. And yeah, I wish you luck with your decluttering if you do this too. Hopefully once I get the piles of stuff out of the house, things will be much more streamlined. And yeah, I think I'm in a much better place than I was a month ago. So thanks for watching.